can you unpack that more? Because I think that was something that we aren't prepared for in graduate school, like just the book writing process, right? So I didn't realize how long it would take. And I think that's the thing where, especially for folks like, as you're thinking about like tenure clock, and I'm not sure of the audience here, let me know the audience, here, Catherine. But especially for like those of, especially for folks, junior folks who lost time during like COVID, and, they're thinking about like the timing to get things out for 30-year review or, mid-year review or whatever, a lot of folks are not aware of how much time like that it actually takes to get the book from ideation phase, proposal, like, so maybe it could be useful, for the folks just to understand that, because I had no idea.
That's a great point. I mean, and I think the process is going to be a little bit different based on institution and whether or not you're at a place that requires a book for your tenure. So I'm at an institution that does, right? So I was required to publish a university press book. And that's a really important thing. I think we've said a couple of times that's important to point out some distinctions in, that we keep referencing university presses because for a lot of institutions to get tenure, your book must be published with a university press. And in addition to it being a university press, some universities have specific presses that they value in different ways versus others. So it's really important to have those conversations very early on in your career about what is an acceptable press for me to publish with for the process of tenure. I think for many of us, the idea is that by the 3rd year review, so 3 years out, that we would have a contract in place with a press, which means that your proposal would be complete and it would have been submitted to a press. And we're going to talk a lot about, yeah, that's a great point, Key. Routledge does not count at a lot of institutions. There's other great presses like Polity that are publishing fantastic, Palgrave, et cetera. This is a really, really important point. That can be scholarly presses, but are still not considered university presses. And the rationale behind that is that many folks believe that the review process is a little bit different with university presses than it is even with scholarly or commercial presses, right? So they're looking for the same rigor of review that would happen in a journal article in your field for the book process. And it doesn't mean that books that are not published with university presses aren't rigorous. It just means that that is the kind of criteria or bar that some tenure committees have set forward. So the proposal is kind of the first thing that has to happen after folks have some notion of what they're going to write about. They want to approach a university press. They've maybe done some of that research and looked up what presses are publishing in their area. And then there's this new prospect of writing a proposal. And the proposal for the book is so different than the dissertation proposal. So would you all mind jumping in and talking a little bit about what a book proposal looks like in this process?
Go ahead, Raven.
I was just going to say, the proposal absolutely is totally different from the diss in that it's, for me, was more concise and not just like obviously in terms of length, but in terms of your argument. Like I had to be much clearer, much sooner, like first page of the proposal. What am I arguing? How is it different than what's out there? And almost like layman terms, right? So rather than, flowery language and you have all this time to think with your diss, the proposal is like cut and dry. This is what it is. This is why it's important. This is why I'm excited about it. And that was kind of freeing. Like I liked sort of distilling, drop the jargon, distilling my argument to like a clear framework.
I've often heard folks describe writing the book proposal as a marketing venture as much as it is anything else. Maybe Caitlin, you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I'll just echo what Raven said. From my perspective, I am a nerd. I am interested. I'm in scholarly publishing as opposed to commercial publishing because I love talking to scholars about all their little specific nerdy ideas. But when it comes to reading a proposal, I love proposals that right off the bat in that first paragraph say, this is what I'm arguing. This is not even how it's different necessarily, but like how it's contributing or how it's intervening on conversations happening in my field right now. And the clearer you can be up front, the more, to me, it will seem like you have a solid book project in mind in development. I just want to share some like really basic stuff. So for MSU Press and for most university presses, a proposal is I'll say like 3 to 5 page project description. And a lot of presses, including us, will ask for an annotated table of contents and then 2 sample chapters, ideally from the core of the project. So not like obviously your intro and your conclusion. That doesn't really give us a good sense of sort of how you handle evidence, how you write, and then a CV. So those are just like sort of the bare bones of what we expect from a proposal.